Man, she looks good. What? No way. Alright, should I take this as a sign? I literally am riding the VFR for the first time in probably a month and a half, and I was about to make a video talking about how I'm contemplating selling it. I just got done washing the bike and drying it off so that it looked okay for the video. I'm leaving the parking lot, and what do I see? No. Should I take it as a sign?
Perfect.
Welcome back to Life of Birch. This is Birch, and that's right, I have been considering selling the VFR lately and planned on making a video talking about it, and I guess that is the perfect sign or intro or whatever to get into it. Alright, so let's just get straight to the point, guys. I have had this VFR for over 5 years now, and I've had an absolute blast on it, but I've been thinking that it just might be time for it to find a new home. I made a video about this same exact thing probably around this time last year, but obviously I still have the bike. But truth be told, and this might be a bad reason for wanting to sell it, I'm just way too ADD to have more than one vehicle at a time. Not saying that my motorcycles are my only form of transportation, but for example, I used to have a 2002 Civic Si, and that car was my baby, and then I decided that I was going to get a CRV so that I had an SUV as kind of a daily, because I wanted to turn my Civic into kind of a race car. Well, after only a couple months with both of those cars, I realized that all I was doing was driving one and ignoring the other. Long story short, after only a couple months, I ended up giving the CRV to my wife because she was getting tired of her car, and I realized that there was no point in me having two, and she loved the CRV, so she got the CRV and I was back to having only one car. Then I decided to buy a big boy car and get an Acura TSX, and convinced myself again that that would be my daily and I could turn my Civic into a race car, but I'm sure you can already sense a trend here. Same thing happened, and I decided it was best to only keep the TSX and got rid of my Civic. I'm sure you're thinking, what the hell does that have to do with motorcycles and your VFR? Well, if you've been following the channel, obviously you know that I recently picked up my Rebel 500, so now I have two motorcycles. Colorful. Now, I know you might be saying, but motorcycles are different. With cars, lots of the times you can drive them and they just feel the same as another car, whereas motorcycles are more purpose-built. You might be saying, you have a 1992 VFR 750 and a 2017 Rebel 500. Those are totally different bikes. They serve totally different purposes. Why don't you just keep both so that you have the right bike for the right occasion? And that's what I planned to do at first, and then I noticed the VFR never getting ridden and getting neglected, and I started feeling bad. Then, to make it worse, I went for a ride with some buddies, and one of the people on the ride actually offered to buy my VFR if I decided to get rid of it, and that kind of got the wheels turning even more, because it's one thing to just sell a bike, it's another thing if you're able to sell it without any hassle, not having to list it on Facebook Marketplace, not deal with all the idiots offering you 5 cents and a pack of bubblegum for the bike. And my wife just got accepted to dental hygiene school, which she'll be starting in just over a month, and that schooling costs like 50 grand or something like that. So obviously if I could get a couple $1,000s for this bike, it would help cover a chunk of the student loan that we have to take out. So all of that brings us to this moment in time right now, where I figured that if I'm gonna sell the bike, I really need to get the full picture by going for a ride on the bike to see if I could actually see myself getting rid of it, and kind of plead my case to you guys and see what you guys think I should do. Not saying that I'm going to take your advice, because obviously I'm a grown-ass man, dog. I can make my own decisions, but it's always nice to hear other people's point of view. You know, honestly, it just makes so much sense to get rid of this bike. I've had it for 5 years, I've had my fun with it, and lots of the time I'm actually afraid to have too much fun with it because it's in such good condition for its age, and it's kind of hard to find these bikes in decent condition, so I'm almost afraid sometimes of pushing it too hard or doing something that that might be a little bit sketchy just because I'm afraid of getting the bike messed up, because honestly, by the time that I pay what new fairings cost for this bike, because they're so hard to find, I might as well have just bought another bike at that point. And then, like I said, obviously the money would be nice, because for $50,000 school, if we can take $2,000 that I get for this bike and put it towards that, that's 4% of her school that we wouldn't have to worry about. But on the flip side of that, I'm a little bit worried because in the grand scheme of things, $2,000 isn't that much. So while it would be nice if I could get that much for this bike, $2,000 just comes and goes so fast that I'm afraid that a month from now, that $2,000 will be gone and I'll be staring out at my driveway seeing only one bike and wonder why I sold the bike for such a little amount. And I gotta be honest, getting back out on this thing makes me forget how much I love it. It is polar opposites of the Rebel, which is why I loved the Rebel at first, but this thing just feels like such a machine. The Rebel feels like a toy because it's so small and light and flickable. I get on that and I just feel like it's like, I don't know, a BMX bike. Like it's just a toy that I'm supposed to be doing wheelies on or just doing stupid stuff. But this bike... This bike has like a lot more power, and it's from 1992, so it just feels so much more mechanical and so much bigger, and like I'm sitting on top of it like a rocket as opposed to like a tricycle or something like the Rebel. But with that said, there's also a decent amount of work that I need to do to this bike in order to have it running properly to keep it. Not that there's anything wrong with it per se, but I haven't ridden it that much lately, so I'd like to do an oil change, coolant flush, some new brake fluid. It needs a chain really badly, and the chain is in such bad shape that I might need to put new sprockets on it. So on one hand, I can sell the bike, get roughly, let's say, $2,000 for it, and be able to put that $2,000 towards my wife's schooling and only have one motorcycle to focus on and worry about. Or I can keep the bike and it'll end up costing me, I don't know, let's just throw a number out there and say $500 to get it into tip-top shape where I'm able to keep it and not worry about it for a while. So at that point, we're essentially talking a $2,500 difference. Could I reasonably keep the Rebel and not even have to worry about it because the Rebel can handle everything I throw at it? Absolutely. But on the other hand, is a $2,500 difference worth getting rid of a bike that I've had for this long, that has that much more power and puts a smile on my face when a 28-year-old bike puts a spanking on newer bikes? I just don't know. I thought I had it so set in my mind that it was time to get rid of the bike, but now that I'm out on it, I'm loving it. So, I don't know. This is where I gotta turn to you guys. What is your opinion? What do you think about whether I should sell the VFR and only keep the Rebel, or if it's just not worth it and I should keep both bikes in this stable? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. And rest assured that even if I do get rid of the VFR, I'm not going to do it right away, so there's still going to be some more content coming with this bike, and of course tons more content coming with the Rebel 500. So make sure to let me know what you think, and then smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace!